The NBA Draft Combine is next week, and the Philadelphia 76ers have the opportunity to get exactly what they need. In a recent press conference, Daryl Morey said that the Philadelphia 76ers need to get younger and more athletic, and there are plenty of prospects in the second round that could help the Sixers fill out the rest of their roster. Coming up in the NBA Draft, as we know, the lottery on Monday night, it is important that the Philadelphia 76ers lottery ball ends between 1 and 6 and they get that first round pick. But regardless if they get that first round pick or not, they have the 37th overall pick in the second round. So this Philadelphia 76ers will have a multitude of prospects to choose from that could help this roster as soon as next year. Say what you want about Daryl Morey, but he has had the opportunity to draft some very good players, and he's succeeded. He's been a very good drafter, whether it's Tyrese Maxey, McCain, Adou looked good. He's got an eye for talent, getting Justin Edwards off of the undrafted free agent market last year. He has done a very good job when it comes to the draft and evaluating young talent. His overall roster construction has been in question, but the second round pick, he could get a potential steal that could help the Sixers roster as soon as next year. The NBA Draft Combine next week is a huge opportunity for prospects to not only evaluate their own status, whether or not they're going to stay in the draft, go back to college. A lot of these guys have that kind of option. They maintain that flexibility, but it's also a huge chance for the Sixers to evaluate these prospects, get a final look at them. Obviously, some of them have a lot of tape from years before this past season and so on, but this Philadelphia 76ers have a chance to evaluate them in some live settings with a bunch of other future NBA players. So there's three players that I want to highlight that I think the Sixers could have their eyes on and that could fit exactly what they need. And the first guy that I want to touch on is Adou Thiero out of the University of Arkansas, a transfer from Kentucky. He followed Coach Calipari to Arkansas this past year, but he's a 6'8", 220-pound wing. When you look at him, he's chiseled like a brick wall. Averaged 15.1 points per game this past season and 5.8 rebounds. Only 1.9 assists. His major red flag in his game, his three-point shot. Only shot 33.5% in his freshman season, 31 last year, and 31% 2 years ago, and 25% the year before. But when Daryl Morey is saying the other day that he wants to get younger, he wants to get more athletic, this is a perfect type of prospect to fit that kind of bill, fit that kind of description. His shot could come along, but this is a guy that wasn't even in the top 100 of his recruiting class. So he's been kind of a late bloomer. Coach Calipari takes a chance on him at the University of Kentucky. He follows him to the University of Arkansas, and he was one of Arkansas's best players this past year. He was in and out of the lineup a little bit due to a knee injury, but an athletic freak on the wing, adds some size, adds some length, adds some versatility to this lineup, can defend, and as this skill set comes around, he could potentially be a very intriguing player down the line. He's a guy that officially declared for the draft, did not say he's going to maintain his eligibility, so he's all in. He's a player that the Sixers should definitely have their eyes on at the 37th overall pick, and when you look at the roster and the construction of it now, they need some more youth. They need some more athleticism on the wing, behind guys like Paul George. You got a young guy like Quentin Grimes, but he's more of a two-guard. This is a guy that could come in and be kind of your Paul George backup as soon as next season play, 12 to 15 minutes a game, give you rebounding, give you defending, give you versatility in terms of the defensive ability that he brings to the table, attacking the rim, and then you allow him to develop that jump shot. As I said, he's a guy that has been kind of in the works, developing. He didn't really play much his freshman year at Kentucky. Played a little bit last year, a little bit more, 2 years ago at Kentucky. But then he was one of the main pieces on this Arkansas team that was a pretty strong team this past season as the season went on. So Adou Thiero is a guy that I certainly have my eye on. Watch out for his name throughout the Combine. He's a player that I think could certainly impress, but also fits the Sixers' kind of needs of what this roster could be targeting with that second round pick. Because we've seen, as I said, Daryl Morey has been very good. Say what you want about him, but has been very good at evaluating young talent in the NBA draft and getting guys that can contribute. Like I said, Adou finding Justin Edwards on the free agent market. Adou Thiero kind of slides in there into that Justin Edwards type of spot where, all right, Justin Edwards maybe a little bit more of a polished scorer, a better shooter, but plays very good defense, can play make. Adou Thiero gives you that kind of athleticism, that will to win, that hunger. He just has a motor to him. When you look at the two teams are playing in the Eastern Conference semis right now with the Knicks and Celtics, wings, a multitude of wings. You look at the Knicks and why they're able to match up with the Celtics. Guys like OG Anunoby, guys like Mikal Bridges. Those guys are able to go out there, defend multiple spots, cause Jaylen Brown, cause Jason Tatum havoc on the wing. And Adou Thiero, I think, is one of the potential players that could kind of fit into that mix as well. Next player I want to touch on that we should be keeping our eyes out for at the NBA Draft Combine, Koby Brea, arguably the best shooter in college basketball the past 2 seasons. Shot 49% from 3 2 seasons ago at Dayton, transfers transfers to Kentucky this year, still shoots about 44% from three. 11.6 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, 1.3 assists. He doesn't offer you much outside of his scoring, so that's a little bit reason why he's kind of down the board a little in terms of why the Sixers would be able to potentially pick him in the second round. But when it comes to just, coming into the league, a plug-and-play type of player, he could shoot the lights out with the best of them. And he's a player that's probably going to go in the second round. As I said, he doesn't offer much outside of his shooting. But when you're just looking at perfect plug-and-play guys, a day one skill set, you can hang your hat on. I know this guy. I can put him in the lineup, and he's going to be able to shoot the ball well. He's going to be able to knock down shots. Koby Brea is that guy. When you have guards and a bunch of playmakers, whether it's Tyrese Maxey, McCain, when Embiid's on the floor, he's a very good passer. Draws a lot of attention. Guys like Koby Brea are just going to be able to sit in the corner and kind of do their thing. He's going to have to improve in some other parts, just become a more kind of consistent defender, maybe just the ability to kind of shot fake, get to the rim, shot fake, sidestep, be able to pull up. He's much more of kind of a catch-and-shoot guy right now, but when you watch him at Kentucky this year, they run a bunch of different actions with him. He's a guy that has the potential to go out there in this kind of pickup setting at the NBA Draft Combine and really elevate his name, because he's a player that I think you could put him in any system. You could put him on the Los Angeles Lakers or the Washington Wizards, and you're going to be able to find ways to get him, moving off screens, get him moving without the ball, and the ability to knock down shots. So Koby Brea is a player that we should certainly have our eyes on next week as well. His ability to just plug and play in the lineup day one next year. Be your 9th, 10th man kind of in your rotation and consistently count on him to be, a 40% shooter from deep. Is he going to be a 44 to 50% shooter in the NBA? Who knows? But if he's able to shoot 40% and offer you a little bit more on the defensive end as he continues to develop, that would be something that would be huge for the Philadelphia 76ers going forward. So he's a player, too, that also has ran out of eligibility, so regardless, he will be in the NBA draft. And our last player that we are going to touch on that I think everyone should be keeping an eye out for, Tahaad Pettiford, freshman guard out of Auburn, averaged 11.6 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, 3.0 assists. Not the most eye-popping numbers this past season, about a 36% shooter from deep, but an electric guard. And he is one of the players that I think it's very important to kind of highlight in terms of these guys next week at the NBA Draft Combine. A lot of them, if they still have eligibility, they're able to declare for the draft while maintaining their eligibility. So Tahaad Pettiford's one of those guys. He's been open about it, saying, I'm going to try and, go through these workouts, raise my stock, see what's out there for me. If I'm able to get if I get a first round grade, a first round projection from some of these coaches, scouts, GMs, whoever's evaluating me, I'm probably going to go to the draft. If not, he has the ability to go back to Auburn. So he's a guy that has the chance to really raise his stock at the Combine next week. He could be, I think, if he's a little bit of a reach in terms of if he does go to the draft, I think it's going to be because he's going to be a first-round pick. If he does go to the draft, I don't know, quite frankly, if he will be there at number 37, but he's a guy that I have my eyes on. And if he's kind of borderline, I think there's still a chance that he might go. The good thing about college basketball these days is these guys can go back and make their money at the college level through NIL. They could probably make more than they would as a second-round pick right away in their first year in the NBA. But Tahaad Pettiford is a player that the Sixers are definitely going to have their eyes on next week at the Combine. He's got the potential in that kind of pickup setting, I think, to elevate his stock maybe more than anyone. I said Koby Brea because you can just plug him and allow him to just go off and shoot threes, run him off screens and whatnot. But Tahaad Pettiford has that kind of pickup mentality, that old school kind of just roll the ball out, and he's going to go out there and get buckets. He's an electric shot maker, an electric scorer. A little bit inconsistent at times. I think that's why he's kind of in that, late first, early second kind of status looking at this NBA draft. But Tahaad Pettiford is a player that you should certainly have his eyes on. He's not afraid of the moment. He's not going to be afraid to go out there and take shots at this NBA draft combine. So kind of goes hand in hand. If he goes out there, he has an inefficient outing, his stock might fall, and he could go back to Auburn. But if he has a really good week, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's a guy that's, in the 20s in the NBA draft. But if he, as of right now, his projection is an early second-round pick, and it kind of fits right there with the Sixers at number 37. So Tahaad Pettiford, freshman guard out of Auburn, very fun player to watch. If you're going to be tuning into the Combine, make sure to have your eyes on him. But those are three prospects: Adou, Thiero, Koby Brea, and Tahaad Pettiford that I'm having my eyes on for next week's NBA Draft Combine. Three guys that I could think fit exactly what the Sixers are looking for in terms of just building this roster out with some more younger athletic players. Adou Thiero on the wing, a defensive guy, a rebounder, a hustler, and a guy that's still developing his offensive game. A late bloomer, I think. Koby Brea, a plug-and-play shooter off the bench right away. And Tahaad Pettiford, maybe a little bit more of a long-term play, but also a nice kind of backup, another scoring punch right there behind McCain and Tyrese Maxey. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I gave you kind of a little bit of everything: a defender, athleticism, a shooter, and then a high-level kind of scoring guard. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who you're looking at for the NBA draft, comment next week. What you think of those 3 prospects as well. As always, keep it locked on here. We'll be dropping a bunch of videos next week about the combine and some potential reports there. But as always, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and we'll be talking to you next time here on Sixers Digest.